We've been living disconnected, I would say, from ourselves, from the people around us, from nature, and this has brought us to feeling lonely, to despair, and we need each other more than ever.
Today it's kind of different to find communities, and I think it's harder to maintain them.
We deal with a lot of uncertainty. It creates fear and it creates a lot of separation.
Today we face a number of challenges that very much require our ability to come together, both with our minds, our intentions, and our work. The importance of community, I think, is our ability to come together and act as one.
Ironically, even though we have so many technologies connecting us together, it's actually pushing us a lot further apart. Unfortunately, we're facing a bit of a loneliness epidemic. It's hard to connect with people. It's really hard to find intentional communities where we feel like we belong.
In order to, I don't know, find a more fulfilling way of life, I think community is the best answer we have so far.
With the speed of life that we live in, it's so easy to just lose ourselves first and then lose contact with others. And lose contact also with the environment where we live.
People are very isolated. People work from home. People communicate with friends online. So I think it's very important to be intentional about seeking out communities.
Community matters because we can't thrive without it. We stay stuck in survival mode without community support.
In current times, it's super easy to isolate yourself, to just be in your own bubble, to have a place where you can recharge, to have a place where you can foster understanding. Community can be an antidote to all of this.
It's kind of embarrassing and it's hard to admit, but for a while now I've been suffering from loneliness. It doesn't discriminate. Loneliness doesn't care about your age, gender, beliefs, or background. And the longer it's with you, the more it feels inescapable. But it doesn't have to. And in this video, I want to show you what I've learned about community and why I believe it's a cure for loneliness.
The reason that loneliness has such serious consequences is that the human being is a social animal.
The past year I've spent a lot of time alone.
We are living in the most connected time in human history, and yet an unprecedented number of us feel isolated.
My isolation led to a disconnect, which eventually became loneliness.
Loneliness isn't about a lack of people so much as it is about a lack of being seen and understood.
It can consume even the most vibrant person and leave them feeling confused and detached.
Loneliness is absolutely an epidemic in our society, but it's been growing for decades.
It sneaks up on you.
Loneliness is the sense that I am less connected to other people than I want to be.
I see local friends so infrequently it was basically like not at all. And chatting to friends online is great, but I was always greeted with isolation after we disconnected.
The loneliness epidemic, it's really a pandemic. Globally, loneliness levels are higher than they have been in years.
Loneliness and isolation are public health concerns that we have to prioritize.
I needed to make a change, but it's so much easier said than done. And the books I was reading and the videos I was watching kept preaching about how I needed to be okay with being alone and that being alone wasn't the same as loneliness. But this doesn't help when you're in it, and after a while, I just kind of thought, just f off. You're making me feel like I can't even be alone correctly.
Being lonely and being alone are not the same thing. You can be filled with bliss by yourself and hate every second surrounded by friends.
The thing is, I had many times where I was surrounded by people. But the temporary hits of socializing were starting to become a juxtaposition. Something I wanted and didn't want at the same time.
Only you can tell if you're lonely. And the fact is, you can be lonely in a crowd, you can be lonely in a marriage.
Your mind starts to ask questions such as, why don't people want to see me? How can I change? What's wrong with me?
330 million people globally go 2 weeks before speaking with anyone, family, friends, anyone.
Eventually, you start to feel like you're the problem. And you start to believe the false notion that maybe I deserve this. In the end, you feel like you don't belong anywhere.
The human being is a social animal, and if it's on its own for too long, it gets sick.
Things began to change when I decided to leave Manchester for a while. I spoke to my friend Wojtek and he introduced me to a unique housing arrangement, coliving. Here, individuals from all walks of life came together under one roof, sharing not just living space, but their lives, passions, and dreams.
If you're going through a difficult moment, if you're feeling lonely, coming to a place like this could bring you a little bit of faith, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that you can build a network of support.
Going away and joining a community, I think it changes your perspective. It changed my life, and I think most of the people I met through co-living or other communities who tried it said that it changed their life and perspectives.
Being together with people, being able to exchange with people, but also being able to seen by other people, get an outside perspective from other people on oneself or on other topics, on issues, that really is the benefit. Community is the benefit.
I arrived and suddenly found myself surrounded by a community that immediately embraced me.
I think the main value and benefit of a community is support. Support in resources, support in knowledge, support in love, feeling cared for, being able to ask for help.
Through the co-living, I found my community. I found people who understood me, who shared my passions, and who wanted me to succeed.
So I'd say the benefit that I get most is the support I receive, as well as the opportunity to offer support to those you love. The fact that you can know these are people I can rely on and lean into in tough times.
For the first time in a long time, I felt connected. I felt happy. I also learned a lot from them, and my creativity blossomed because of it. I met amazing people who introduced me to even more amazing people, and I became part of a network that inspired me, supported me, and pushed me to grow.
It's really hard to meet people, and because communities are often brought together by shared values, shared purposes, being part of a community makes it easier to meet and to connect with people.
It's the perfect antidote to feeling lonely and hopeless. You can have a real exchange of services based on one another's strengths and weaknesses, and so it's a real catalyst for growth.
It wasn't just about being in the presence of others. After all, I live in a city with hundreds of thousands of people completely surrounding me. Rather, it was about feeling seen, being heard, and valued for who I truly am. It was about finding belonging in a world that all too often feels fragmented and disconnected.
"4 feet on the stripes in the Alabama highway, out there in the open, just a wishing and a hoping. I could smell the pines when I lay in the doorway. Took the seat next to mine like you've been there before.
For me, a community is a group of people who have something in common. It could be shared values, it could be shared interests, or it could be sharing a physical space. Being together with other people always end up being much better for me than just doing things on my own.
I'm befriended in an illusion.
It's a group that is sharing a certain view on life and also sharing values. At the same time, spend time together to actually grow and create what you feel is most important to you in life.
To me, community means a collective care of one another.
It was nothing you did, I just felt my low life in.
Community to me reminds me a lot of the word organization. An organization is simply a group of people aligned with a purpose, and to me a community is just a type of organization. However, part of its purpose is being connected to people.
In an illusion, I could never stand to lose you.
I had very deep support in a very difficult time of my life, and the community really helped me to go through it, both on an emotional level and on a more practical level. The support I found in people, like the openness, being ready to listen and to just be there for you, that was amazing and unexpected, and yeah, just wonderful.
If you feel lonely, or you're looking for more connection and meaning in your life, I encourage you to find or create your own community. It can be anything that works for you. It could be a club, a class, a meetup, a volunteer group, or an online forum. For me, it was the co-living experience. The important thing is to find people who share your values, interests, and goals. People who will accept you for who you are, support you, and value you. People who will make you feel like you belong. It's not easy, and it takes time, effort, and intention, but it's so worth it. The importance of connection is unique and personal, and when you find it for yourself, it very quickly becomes clear what community means to you.
Sharing.
Change.
Support.
Invaluable.
Unity.
Belonging.
Understanding.
Organization.
Resource.
Oh.
As for me, I've learned that loneliness isn't a permanent state of being. It's a temporary condition that can be overcome with community. And while I may have arrived at this co-living building a stranger, I now leave as part of something more. Something that's changed me, that's here for me, and something I can't wait to return to.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, no worries. That was fun.
I know. Thank you so much.
Fun.
Fantastic.
Thank you, brother.
So good.
Thank you.